well. And then this list right here is all of the preeminent organizations: UNICEF, American Red Cross, CARE, World Food Program, Salvation Army, the UN High Commission on Refugees, UNOCHA, UNISDR. So all of these organizations are the ones that we would support, and then we have a plan in place at the beginning of the year, so the support's already there when they need it. So we've been doing that as well. So here's some of our 2014 global response highlights. So in in-kind services, we had 263 shipments in 2014, over 43 countries of urgent needs that needed to be sent in. And again, 22 logistics emergency team members have been trained, so they're positioned throughout the world to respond whenever there's a crisis. The Philippines recovery, more than $1 million in response recovery, 27 truckloads of school supplies transported to rebuild schools, over 30,000 coconut seedlings planted. That's a big crop for them to survive, and so they're trying to find ways to build that back. The Syrian refugee crisis, every winter, it's getting really severe. There's children there without clothes, without coats. So the last 2 years, we worked with the UN up in New Jersey here, and they put together 23,400 cartons of clothing for each child by age, by size, and that was shipped over in time for the winter. And that's only a small percentage. There's like 1.5 million children that have a need. There's other companies that are doing the same thing, other organizations, but we're doing our part. The Ebola crisis, what happened when Ebola went away, everybody forgot about it, but there's still urgent needs that are going on for Ebola, so we'll work with the World Food Program, and we're working with the UN now to figure out how to stage urgent needs around the country. Influenza is a big one that nobody talks about, but the UN is looking at how do we stage supplies in different parts of the world, so if there is an outbreak, we can get it there immediately. And it takes all of us together to really make that happen. But the Ebola crisis is still there, it hasn't gone away, and hopefully we can continue to minimize it with the supplies that are there today. The problem was at the beginning, it was difficult to get everything there. Now that things are there, hopefully that'll start to subside. Capacity building, 12,000 disaster volunteers provided with tools and equipment through the UPS Tool Bank. We support a tool bank that they have trailers. They go to these sites where there's tornadoes, hurricanes, etc. People can rent tools or get tools to help to go ahead and do their homes and fix up other people's homes, etc. Disaster preparedness, again, that's Saglim Kobe. So far there's 7,000 businesses that are involved. And then the Red Cross annual disaster giving, so 400,000 provided for immediate food and shelter. That money at the beginning of our year gets put into an account. When they need to draw on it, they draw on it as soon as something happens. Because the worst thing is those people that need it immediately, like Nepal, it was very difficult if the monies are not available. And the most important thing really, unfortunately, for when a disaster happens is cash. So that depending on what the need is, that's exactly what they can go out and purchase or to get flown in. So that's why, you know, cash becomes the most important element in these type of crises. Now this is, we talk about UPS technology. We have a UPS relief link. In these refugee camps, it's very difficult because everything's done on paper. So as they're writing on paper, papers get missing. People take other people's supplies. They don't know who had it, who didn't. So we've come up with a technology that is like it's just like our dyad that you saw before, that it has pictures of the person. It tells you exactly what they received, when they received it, what they didn't receive, and make sure that they do get it. So we have this UPS relief link that we're using now in the refugee camps with the UN. So we continue to modify that to make it more helpful. You'll start to probably hear a little bit more of that in the future. They're looking at different ways to use it. I know now they're also looking, I know you had the discussion about drones. We're looking at different supportive programs for drones that can go out into these humanitarian spaces to see where the people are. For example, in the Philippines, we had people go to certain small islands, and they actually found children and families like trying to live under trees, etc., where the drone technology might be able to get there quick and find out where people are at and what needs are necessary. So there's a lot of good things that are happening that sometimes we don't hear about, but with a lot of support from the private sector and the governmental agencies coming together, it's really bonded together. So I can see it being here for 4 years now, how much better it is every year, and how it's been developed. So this turns us to the Nepal. In April 2015, the 7.3 on the Richter scale event that happened, the government of Nepal declared a state of emergency. More than 8 million people were affected, and 8,500 people have unfortunately lost their lives. So our support right away, there was $800,000 that was put forward so that they could go immediately and move forward with whatever was needed, and UNHCR, CARE, the World Food Program, all had monies available too, so that they can go ahead and start the process. We also did 3 charter flights to Nepal. It was very difficult because the runways were cracked as well, and the heavy tonnage of the planes was causing it a problem for us to get flights in. So you had to reduce it from 60,000 metric tons down to 40,000 metric tons. And so it was a little more difficult getting supplies in at the time. And then became the problem of customs. They wanted to make sure that they were watching what was coming in, what was going out. So that was a hold up as well. So all of these things are factors when you're trying to move swiftly. But these were the 3 flights and the medical and food items. And then there's also logistics support that we provide as UPS. And again, UPS is in communication with our Izmir district, which was India, the subcontinent, and the Middle East and Africa. That's the area of that district that you heard about just before, to look at the capabilities and what can we do with our people to be helpful. And then the additional support that we are continuing now is monies to the Salvation Army. UPS's coordinate relief shipments donated by the medical supply company, Henry Schein. They're out there putting things out. We're working with the World Health Organization and International Medical Corps. And then UPS delivered 1 air freight pallet of just basic medical supplies. As things come up, we look at what we can do, but that's the area of humanitarian relief for the foundation. It's really grown up. You know, everybody thinks when you're in the foundation, you just write checks and you send them out. But that's not the UPS Foundation. We've got all those programs that we run with a very small staff, and we rely on our employees that are generous and our management team around the world that do get involved in support. If it wasn't for our management team in Cologne, Germany, we would have never been able to get all the supplies that were necessary over for the Ebola crisis. They just stepped up and worked with all their connections at the Cologne airport and made that work. So there's a lot of bringing people together in this, and it's great to see when it all comes together. So I thank you very much, and if there's any questions, please just ask us.
Well, I just want to commend you on the job that you're doing. Especially, I'm not sure how you do with the haulage and the drivers, because that's really, really great, especially for us small countries like Swaziland. I'm not sure how it affects the pursuits, but you find a whole lot of drivers driving long distances and servicing South Africa, Swaziland, whether it's timber and agricultural products, And I mean, like, there's a lot of deaths, unnecessary deaths, actually, even in my own country, probably almost every other week. So it would be interesting to know how you do it, and then if maybe you pull them all in one place, it would be nice to get some of our people to go to these trainings, or however you do it, so it would be nice to get more information. And then in terms of the relief, because you find that a lot of us want to get our hands dirty and actually help out, but I mean, there's not a lot of things that have been done from our own countries. So maybe if we got the information, or somehow, because we do have the Yali network or various like online platforms that maybe we could get the word out to, because I see volunteerism is a big one Because I mean, we may not be able to bring in the big bucks, but surely we can come in and help or in whatever ways, which is because of the whole world. It would be really nice to get that kind of information. So really, thank you.
So, well, thank you. And what I can do is I'll give you my email. If you just send me an email, and then what I'll do is send you back whatever information that we can pull out from Fleet Forum and some of the organizations that are doing work that you might not know of. So it's F as in Frank, ROMEO, at
ROMEO
at UPS.com. And then I'll send some information back with some of the organizations that we might be able to get in contact with that are doing work in your area.
Okay, great.
Anyone else?
Okay, good afternoon. Thank you so much. I'm very interested in the UPS Foundation. I'm a member of the Nigerian Red Cross, and I also run a mobile library in Nigeria. It's the first of it for children in Nigeria. And I have quite a number of foundations that have been listed that I wanted to get in touch with, and the UPS Foundation is not part of it. I was just wondering, how feasible is it that you don't work directly with the African countries, or we're just supposed to get in touch with you through your partner organizations?
Well, it depends. If it's, Red Cross is all over, we're engaged with different Red Crosses, the Red Crescent, the Red Cross. So, but it depends on the area that we're at. So sometimes too, monies are given here in the U.S. for opportunities throughout the world. So I have to go back and research, your specific area to see if it's coming from the U.S. over. The monies go into the Red Cross, and then when there's, because you can't do everything, it's only a finite amount of money. So you try to bring it in and get the most out of the money that you have, the impact. But the Red Cross then decides where the money would go depending on the needs. So, but again, that might, depends on which economic questions. You can say anything, I can research some of the areas in that area what Red Cross is doing.
Thank you very much. It is fascinating to note the work that you're doing around the world in terms of corporate social responsibility. In order to know, do you have any, or what are the mechanisms that you have in place to measure the brand equity that you get from all the CSI activity? Do you measure it all?
Actually, it was a great question because we're in the process of doing that with FSG, which is an organization that actually does benefit. We do measure certain things like for our volunteers, the 1.9 million hours, we've got that calculated with an outside organization. The impact of these organizations is over $46 million in value. So if those volunteers weren't volunteering, and they had to go purchase those services, they would be paying upwards of $46 million for those services. So that's an impact. We're working with CDC, Center for Disease Control, to find the impact of our programs for safety to ensure that that we're moving in the right direction. So they just redid some of the work that we had, and they're looking at this year. We give them another grant, and they're looking at ways to go ahead and figure the impact. We know there's an impact. We just don't know what exactly that is. The hard part is to track those students for years to come to be able to get those values so that becomes. And then you know the numbers of people that you're affecting. So there is an impact on the numbers of people in those areas that are sending, supplies to, that you're sending relief to, that you're sending the winter coast, and you know the impact on their lives. We just can't measure, when somebody dies, the impact on someone. So it depends on what you want the impact to be. But we are looking at all that. We do have an outside organization now looking at exactly what you're saying, so we can get a better feel for the impact that we provide. Thank you.
My name is Andrew Romeo from we have a saying back home in Africa which says the chick that will grow into a cook is spotted the very first day it hatches. What I'm trying to imply is as you heard from our organizers, we were chosen from 50,000 of the continent. What it means is that the cream of the continent is here. These colleagues have serious, amazing stories, extraordinary endeavors in their countries. So my interest is in the foundation of the UPS Foundation. We wanted to go into an on-wage agreement where you consider establishing a yearly grant to support us back in Africa, grow our economies, where you benefit market in future. Don't you look at this investment as viable?
I think we do that.
Yeah.
They already are.
Yeah,
So we do projects.
So I'm looking at establishing a special fund for us. Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'm Heinrich from Namibia. Mine is just a gratitude, sort of, it's not a question. Just to, I've always believed that organizations must play a social, a big role. You know, the resources that they generate, they must have a positive impact in the communities they operate. You, the organization having, what, the presentation there, that was just something very awesome. And then back at home, and that's what we have got one big corporation that always does social responsibilities. But not all organizations are coming forth, but they are making millions of dollars. But to see that you're outlining this, and this is what every business needs to be doing for their community. So I just was saying gratitude for your organization, knowing that you're a huge organization in this country, and you are also putting the money into the communities. So that was just very good to see. Yeah. So we also want you to come to Africa.
This is, all right, I got a deal for it.
All right, Frank, we got it.
Wait, I got it. I have one deal for him. Help us grow Africa, right? We'll be able to support more in those areas. Okay.
Thank you, Frank. Yeah, I think the takeaway on the foundation is it's part of what our culture is. We've done it from the beginning. I think we talked about our founder, and it's not only the financial. We try to line it up with these core competencies, right? So if you look at the pillars, you can't give money to everything. We'd love to. So you need to kind of organize under what supports and what are your strengths, and not to be taken, because I sat back as I was listening